Hi everyone, welcome to the Compass Guide channel and thank you for watching my videos. Please do subscribe to my videos and share among your friends and peers. Today, I'm really privileged and honored to have Mr. Martin Buckland with us. And in the spirit of Compass Guide, that it's all about guidance, it's all about inputs from people who have walked the path. And I don't think there's anybody better than Martin to be a part of our show today, as he is not only a leading resume writer globally, a global expert in resume writing, but also a transformational and leadership coach. Martin has been an immigrant to this country too, and it's my privilege to welcome Martin.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thanks for having me on this podcast. So, yeah, a little bit about myself. I call myself an executive career management practitioner. So I work globally. I have clients all over the world. There's no boundaries, no ethical boundaries, no cultural boundaries, and everybody is the same. It's just that they want to get their dream job, whether they're staying in their own country or whether they want to come to Canada, US, UK, or anywhere else.
Yeah, and I think the current, though obviously 2020 hasn't been a very positive year from a traveling point of view and moving point of view, but we know that a big chunk of the population of every country, especially the developing nation, wants to move, and we also know that Canada is one of the top destinations. And today, Martin, I thought that I'll ask you a couple of questions which would help people who are trying to move into Canada or are already in Canada and trying to figure out the way and the right approach.
Sure.
So moving on, my first question to you would be that with all your experience, Martin, across the globe, coaching, leadership teams, as well as your own resume writing experiences, the first thing that I would like to ask you is that from somebody who is trying to move into a new country, like Canada specifically, if we stick to that as of now, what would be three advices that you would have for them?
Well, firstly, I'd like to say if you are coming into the country or you've just arrived into the country, welcome to Canada. It's a great country and it supports immigration. It's one of the most multicultural nations in the world. So there is a job for you, but you really have to craft yourself. You have to get a different mindset from many other cultures. Our culture is different here. The big difference is that we're very performance driven and you need to show that you are a performer. So you need to have a dynamic. You're fighting against people who are already here and they've already got an established network. So you need to start building your network. And with the advent of social media in the last 10 or 15 years, LinkedIn is the number one, but you can also use Facebook, you can use Twitter, and you can use other platforms out there. You need to network online. And then when you arrive in the country, hopefully, bar COVID, you'll be able to go actually to in-person networking events. And then you need to be aggressive on LinkedIn. You need to have a dynamic LinkedIn profile. And then the resume, or a lot of people from other countries call it a CV. Basically, it's the same. So you need to really prepare yourself mentally and emotionally for a ride, probably of your life. And you're going to hear, as you arrive in this country, whether you're already here or whether you're going to arrive shortly, you're going to hear those sad words. You've got to have Canadian experience. You'll be shut the door. You're going to have to combat that, get used to rejection in your mind, because you're not going to win every time. So I hope that helps the viewers.
For sure, Martin. Going back to the other point, I think networking and preparation, preparing for the new country is probably the key, as you mentioned. The other question that I have for you, that you are, you look at resumes across the globe. What would be few, rather mistakes or errors that you see that people do make, especially when they're, new immigrants and they're trying to crack open here? And also, I would like you to touch upon the theory of your cover letter and resume how those two really work in
Yeah.
this country.
Okay, sure. So I'll take the second question first. So a resume takes you from today backwards. It's a historical document, and a cover letter written in the personal pronoun, the word I, my, he or she, takes you from today forwards. And there's different types of cover letters, and we can talk about that maybe in another session. But mistakes that people make. There is no such thing as a perfect resume, but you need to have certain things. It's a purely business document. I'm not interested in whether you played field hockey or soccer or whatever. I'm interested in you as a business person. So you need to, people, a lot of the immigrants I work with are very humble, and that's great. That's part of your background, that's part of your culture, your ethnicity. But here, where you are now tooting your own horn, you have to sell yourself, and you're selling yourself in a market where there's already people in those positions, Canadians. So don't be humble, toot your own horn. So resumes are very performance driven. I don't call myself a resume or a CV writer anymore. I call myself a storyteller. So I tell stories about my clients' successes, and they could be projects, or they could be monetary, they could be saving money, making money, eliminating headcount, streamlining operations, transforming operations. The big word buzzword is digital today, digital this and digital that. And then don't have your date of birth, your color of your hair, your weight, your mother's maiden name, all sorts of things, and references available upon request went out 15 years ago. So you need to have an up-to-date resume that's going to sell you, because every one of you watching this is a salesperson. You are selling yourself to the Canadian market.
Yeah, that is such a valuable one, Martin, because a lot of time I think people forget that they're trying to sell themselves, and that salesmanship doesn't get reflected in there. It's also very interesting when you talk about people are humble, and when you are really fighting it out and trying to get into something where there's already people there.
Sure.
Probably being humble is not going to help you as one of the priorities at that point of time.
Exactly.
Moving on, and my last question to you for this session, and I'm sure we're going to have much more sessions like this. The last question that I have is, with 2020 behind us and 2021 now on, what would be 3 advices that you would have, especially for people who are moving countries or moving to Canada?
Well, if you're moving to Canada, you probably you've got a long roadway. You're approved by Immigration Canada. That process in itself takes a long time, depending on the country. So you have time to prepare. So what I would suggest you do is elevate your time, your impact on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a platform. Now, if you have a really stellar career, fill it right out. LinkedIn is not just a skeleton. The more you put on it, the more Google algorithms, and algorithms are visiting your LinkedIn profile all the time. You want to get as many hits on that LinkedIn profile as you can. I would also suggest, I know emigrating is an investment, doesn't come cheaply, but I was also suggest an investment in getting the premium version of LinkedIn, because you get extra bells and whistles. Then I would also suggest is target marketing. So I would suggest you perhaps look at 20 to 30 companies that here in Canada where you would like to go and work, and start marketing yourself, networking with key decision makers in those companies, because Canada is an exception to the rule. Only 8 or 9% of jobs are advertised. That's horrific. So the bulk of the jobs are hidden or through executive recruiters. Now, when you come to Canada, executive recruiters aren't going to be interested in you initially until you have that Canadian experience 3 or 4 years down the road. So you need to really target market. As coming back to that conversation we had a couple of minutes ago, everyone watching this is a salesperson. You need to sell yourself. So target market, you must have companies that you want to go and work for. And then when you come here to Canada, especially if you're in Toronto or you're in Vancouver, you need to join the Indian Commerce or the UK Canadian Chamber of Commerce or the French Canadian Chamber of Commerce, because there are a lot of people who can help you. Plus, if you graduated from a university, even in Southeast Asia or other parts of the world, there is probably an alumni club or alumni from Canada. Network with them. They could be your best friends and they could generate leads for you.
Oh, that is, I'm sure that is such a valuable input, Martin. And, I'm sure that our viewers would, are making points on it, making notes. Good that this is going to be there on YouTube and they will be able to revisit this. And I'm sure that any one of you who is watching this, if you're interested to talk to Martin directly, please do reach out on LinkedIn, through LinkedIn to Martin. And if you really need some more insights or some more services from Martin, you can definitely reach out to Martin directly and take it from there. Thank you again, Martin, so very much for taking your time.
Thank you.
And as mentioned, I hope that this is definitely not the first one. We are going to bring in more from Martin's experience and wisdom and share it with all of you. Till then, thank you so very much for watching. And as mentioned, please do subscribe and like and comment. Thank you and have a nice day.